Okay, so let's get started here. Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Daniel Alarcon. I'm Technical Support Manager here at FileCloud, and I'm going to be showing you what's new in FileCloud 21.3 in the latest version in FileCloud. Okay, so if you have any questions, again, please post it on the QA section and I will answer them at the end. Okay. If you don't see my screen or if you don't hear me well, please let me know. I'll try to do this as best as possible, and we're going to use the time as best as possible as well. Okay, so what's new in FileCloud 21.3? This release is the first one of a set of releases that is coming in the future in this year, that it's mainly focused on stability. We're willing to continue to include new features, but we're going to focus more on stability and improving the performance of the server. That being said, we do have some things that we're working on. First of all, what's new on the admin UI? We have a new admin dashboard. We have a new admin portal login screen that matches the user UI. In the compliance center, we have two new compliance requirements that we have added, that is HIPAA and GDPR. We now also have a Google Apps integration for editing documents. And we have two enhancements that are restricted to FileCloud Online. They are specific for FileCloud Online, which is a Get Started interactive tour and a mini admin portal that can show up on the user UI. We're going to take a look at that at the moment. So this new admin dashboard, it's completely revamped. It's a new user interface. You can customize the look and feel and what elements do you want to see and how do you want to arrange them. That is going to be stored on your promoted admin UI or in the regular admin UI. So every time you log in is going to stay the same way. So let's take a look at that very quickly here. Okay, so in the new admin UI, this is the dashboard. Okay, so you can see here you have a very good set of elements that you're already familiar with. What is the license information, the statistics. The difference now is that you can completely see it's a new user interface. It's a new look and feel that matches the elements that we're working on. So you can see here that you can refresh, you can move things around, you can remove widgets or add more widgets, depending on what you want to do. If I want to remove information or if I want to rearrange elements, it all depends on what's important to you. So you can always add a widget back if you remove it, which is in this case real-time DLP statistics. So this is one of the changes that we have. Definitely, it's going to be more robust as well. You can see alerts here pretty quickly, and you have the actions. Instead of having the right panel actions section here, you now have some action buttons on the top to quickly add users, groups, network shares, add a promoted admin, or see the alerts. Okay. Besides this, we have the new admin login screen. As you can see here, we can sign out. And this is the new look and feel. So let's log in here. Okay, so that's the new login screen. That new login screen, it's not listed here on the features, but if in your case, you can decide to show terms of services now on the admin UI as well. So not only restricted to the user UI, if required and you want to show a terms of service alert on the admin login, you can now show that as well. So besides that admin login, we have now a compliance center. This compliance center comes from the latest version from 21.2, where we included ITAR. Now we are included HIPAA and GDPR controls, and we're going to be adding more controls in the future. Basically, the compliance center, in case you're not familiarized with it, it's going to help you meet all compliance requirements in a very easy to follow process here. So we have the ITAR compliance we already had before. We now have HIPAA and GDPR. So what does this mean? If I want to enable HIPAA compliance, I just have to enable it here. And I can come and enable specific features. Once it's enabled, it's going to ask me for how to customize that rule, right? So in this case, you can see it's asking me to choose a metadata set to classify electronic protected health information. So what does that mean? In the Compliance Center, you have several elements. The first element is on the left side here. If you click on this, it's going to take you to the Code of Federal Regulations and show you, okay, what does the 164.304 definition means? So it's going to take you to the definition, what it's actually requiring for you to comply, and we're providing the control to make that happen very easily, right? We're helping you identify what is the protected health information. And that goes as well for all the other controls in this case, right? We can enable the rest of the features like security standards, promoted at least one admin role with access to Compliance Center. So again, same process. It's going to check if you're complying or not with each of those requirements. So in this case, we added this for HIPAA. We added another one for GDPR. So if you're looking to comply with all the sets here, this is going to help you comply with each of these requirements. It's not that FileCloud is going to have a tag that says comply with GDPR, HIPAA, or ITAR, because there isn't any tag like that in any case, but it's going to enable you to make sure you're compliant and make sure that the system that you're running is compliant. This goes for FileCloud Online and also goes for FileCloud On-Premise. If there's a question here from Ben, yes, we are working on NIST 800-171. Okay, so yes, we're working on that, and we're also working on CMMC for the future 2 releases. Okay, so next what else we have new here is we also have a Google Apps integration. Okay, so before this release, we could actually connect with Office 365 Online for editing. We could also do the Office 365 server, but now you can do a Google Apps integration. And that's one big step for FileCloud, because now there is no actual requirement for your users to only have a Office 365 business account. If they have a Google account with access to this, they're going to be able to edit documents online. So for that to happen, there are a few steps you have to work on. First of all, you have to enable web edit with Google Apps on this case. And there's a process for Google authentication and Google domain verification, right? So to get to understand how to do the process of configuring, you can always go to the documentation. And we're going to see Google Apps integration. And if I see here is set up Google Apps FileCloud integration with Google Platform, and it's going to take you to the Google console. I explain all the process that you have to do to enable. It's very straightforward. Instructions and screenshots are on every step. It's documented, and it's going to allow you to have these 2 requirements that you need. You need the JSON file that it's going for Google authentication, and you're going to also have an HTML file that you have to download for the domain verification. That's going to enable you to do the following. So if we log in here with the user UI, and we go into my files. Now, if I click here on the 3 dots, not only if I have the option to open or edit on Office Online, I can also open now with Google Docs. So if I open with Google Docs, it's going to ask me. Let's do that in a different page here. So let's go to demo. And if I want to edit this document, it's going to ask me with which account. And you're going to see that the document is now opening with Google Docs. And we can have another line. And you can see here that auto-saving is working automatically. To close the file, you simply close it here. And if I preview the file now, you're going to see that we're going to see the changes that we did with Google Docs. There's another question here from Shoa. It's, you don't require it to have a G Suite account, right? It could be a regular Google account or a G Suite account. In that respect, if you see our documentation, you're going to see a very specific setting for that. So if we go here to the how you set it up, you're going to see that here it's a section that says if you want to allow access from external or internal only in this one here. So this is where you decide if you want to allow only G Suite accounts on your domain, or do you want to allow editing from any Google account? So this is where you can decide. You decide which account do you want to allow. Okay. So let's go back here. So that's our Google Docs integration. And what are the changes there are two changes that are very specific to FileCloud Online. That is that when you create a trial and you are using FileCloud for the first time on the admin UI, you're going to get an interactive tour that is going to help you show you how to use FileCloud. So you're going to be following steps like creating a folder, uploading a file, start sharing an item, changing the theme. All that interactive tool is available now on FileCloud Online. And the other thing that you have is a mini admin portal. So for that to work on FileCloud Online, we can do the following. First of all, in your admins, in your promoted admins, you're going to see that there is a new feature here. There's a permission called mini admin that you need to enable the user to use that mini admin on the user website. And that shows the following way, right? So if a user is a promoted admin, like my user account right now here, on the left panel, you're going to see here that at the bottom, I have an admin section. That admin section is going to pop up a mini admin user interface that is going to contain information on your FileCloud installation, like if I want to purchase, if I want to contact sales, do I want to add more storage, do I want to purchase more users, but also it's going to allow me to manage the users, the same user section that you have in the admin UI, this one here. It's also going to allow you to manage it from the user UI. You can do customization from here. You can go to the billing section on our control panel, or if you want, you can also switch to the full admin from here, and it's going to launch the full admin UI for your user. Okay, so this is very useful for especially for these kind of actions that before you have to go through the process of contacting sales, and that was the only option. You can now purchase directly from your mini admin UI. You can add more storage, add more users, enable things like team folders and CDR shares, and your users customization and billing. So this is the new mini admin UI that we believe it's going to be very useful for our FileCloud Online users. There are, of course, other things available here in the new release that are not big changes, but they're worth mentioning here. You can find them on the release notes on our documentation. So things like, for example, in the user UI, whenever a user logs a folder, it's now going to show up a little log icon on the folder. So it's visually there for other users to see. There is an upload folder now from the user UI, not only upload files and create files, but if I click on this menu, you're going to see that I have the option to upload a folder completely. And other things like in the Drive UI section, what's new on the Drive interface, or in the desktop edit, you can log and unlock items from the dashboard of the desktop edit UI. And the information of the components that have been upgraded, like Apache, Apache Log4j, Apache Solr, what is the current versions of the server components now running, and all the other enhancements and bug fixes. Okay, so that's what's new in FileCloud 21.3. Do you have any questions that you would need some answers? No problem, Ben. So we have okay. So Ben, you don't see the FileCloud Online admin portal. Yes. So I hope that I answered your question while we're working on this. So remember that in the admin UI, in your promoted admin users, you have to edit the role that your promoted admin user has. And in the second set of permissions, you can enable or disable the mini admin dashboard. You can allow them to read or read and create on the user UI. If these two are disabled, this is not going to show up in there. Hope that answers your question. Okay, another question here from Michael. So when you are editing documents with Google Docs, that document is temporarily sent to the Google Drive section only while you're editing. Once finished and closed, that document is removed and uploaded back to FileCloud server. Okay, so for the 21.3 changes that we just discussed, there's another question asking what requires enterprise license and what requires a normal license. So, and this is coming from on-premise setup. In the admin UI, the only thing that needs the enterprise license is, of course, using HIPAA and GDPR, because the compliance center is restricted to the enterprise license. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so okay, thank you. So if you want to check what are the other changes, I advise you to go to our documentation, see the 21.3 release notes. We will send you the quick guide to all the attendants. And if you need any help, please don't hesitate on reaching us at help.filecloud.com and checking our documentation in general. Okay, so what edit with Google Docs is available for standard license? Yes, Ra, editing with Google Docs is available for standard license. Okay, I'm guessing how is able to block Microsoft files in Mac devices. So we have another question here from Christian. Is FileCloud able to block Microsoft files in Mac devices? Can you elaborate a little bit more on what do you mean by block Microsoft files in Mac? Do you mean blocking from being synchronized to FileCloud server or? Okay, for team collaboration. Okay, so for team collaboration in Mac, if you're using the Drive or the Sync application, you can do the lock mechanism. So let me show you here. So we have here the dashboard for Sync. Let's open the Drive app. Let me sign out. So I'm logging in. I'm going to use Drive, but you can also do this on Sync, by the way. So we can log in here with a user. Password. Yeah, that works. So in here, this works from Mac the same exact way that I'm going to do it right now. In my files, let's do a Office document. Test Word doc. You can right click on a file. You can open it directly with FileCloud, but there's this feature here. If we go to the settings, we're going to say we can lock Office files automatically on edit. So once this is enabled, if I open this document for editing, okay, anything that I do here is not going to allow other users to work on it while I'm working on this. This is possible to do with the Drive application, the Sync application. You just want to make sure that you want to enable the functionality on the Drive and the setting and the Sync settings. Okay, so we have settings in here. This is for Sync application. Okay, so you can see here that you can enable automatically locking DocIQ when editing a file. Okay, hope that answered your question, Christian. No problem. So another question here from Michael is, can multiple users edit spreadsheet using Google Docs integration if the file is uploaded to Google Drive while being in use? Yes, because they are going to open the file on the same space at the same time, right? So even if you see the file with a lock on the user UI, it's going to work with the collaboration option the same way that it already works with Google Docs. So if 2 or 3 or more users can edit the document at the same time, and you're going to see the name of who's doing what on one section the same way that it works right now on Google Docs. Okay, so Edwin, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean if this works in a collaborative environment on macOS and Windows? Do you mean editing and changing files and locking the files between Mac users and Windows users? Is that your question? Okay, I'm going to assume that's the question. So yes, these locking files, while we're working on them on Mac and Drive, it works across different operating systems, right? So if one set of your users is using Mac OS and other users are using Windows OS, this is going to work the same way, right? It's going to lock the file to being open from the other end. The only thing that is not going to show, and that's important to show you here, is that on macOS, you don't have DocIQ integration. And what does DocIQ mean? Right, so I'm going to enable DocIQ here. I'm also going to enable it from here. Okay, so that means if let's save it. If I want to do the following, let's open Word. And we're going to open a file. We're going to open it from FileCloud. In folders, in this case, yeah, I don't have it here open or synchronizing to the same device, but the only thing that is not going to show is that for documents that are open on FileCloud, from your Windows computer, there is a control panel on the right here it's our FileCloud DocIQ that is going to allow you to do other things like blocking the file from being downloaded from other devices, adding comments, and doing a share directly from Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or any Office application. That DocIQ integration doesn't work on Mac devices, but collaboration between operating systems does work. Okay, hope that answers your question. Okay, so another question from Christian here is there any way to make synchronization of file transfer faster? Okay, in this case, Christian, it all depends on your specific use case. Are you using FileCloud on-premise? Are you using FileCloud online? How many files are you trying to synchronize? In this case, if you are using FileCloud online, synchronization should be fairly fast. If you have a large amount of data that is going to be synchronized, that's going to take some time for sync to finish, because the way that our sync application works is a little bit different from the regular application. It's going to do a small full scan of your files, and once it sets that it looks for any changes, it's going to make those changes synchronize from to the server. Now, if what you mean is, let's say user A opens some files and edits it and then closes, that file is going to be picked by the sync application in the next 5 minutes. In that time, that file is going to be uploaded to the server, and it's not going to push back to the rest of the users. It's actually a pull operation from the other sync application, right? So it's going to pull all the changes back to the other users. So that's normally going to be in a matter of minutes. It's not going to be as real time as possible. If you want to do real time editing, then I would recommend, especially for Office documents and things like this, uses the Drive application, because then whenever you double click on a file on the virtual browser, is going to download the most recent version. Okay, hope that answered your question. And if you have some issues and you're seeing some slowness, I will advise you to open a ticket and we can take a look at what's going on with your sync application and try to help you make it go faster than usual. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much for all your questions. If you still have any after the call, you can always send an email to support@filecloud.com or open a ticket in our portal, and we'll be happy to answer them. I hope to see you on the next webinar. Thank you very much for joining today. Have a good day.